Checking. Ready. Set. I think we are good. Ooh, no video. They want video. All right. Cool. What is happening? Guess who's late as usual? Damn it. Every time. Anyways, welcome if you're new. We do this. I say we, so I got Steven on and may have another pro jumping on with us as well later on. I say pros, these are like guys that we trade together every day. Hope. And my mouse always does this. So, before we get started, just got to point out options are not for everyone. We might go through some options ideas on some stocks if we can find some. And if you're new to trading, just, well, carefully consider whether it's something for you, considering your circumstances, knowledge, and financial resources. So, that being said, just typically when we go through this, what we're going to do is just kind of go through some quick hit headlines on what moved market last week, and we skipped the week before because of holiday, so I got a little bit of that in here as well. And then what headlines from an economic perspective we need to be careful of moving into this current week. I'll say this week looks pretty light, at least for the first half. But as usual, I mean, if I'm looking at all the headlines and stuff, it's inflation, inflation, inflation. So if it's inflation related on a headline, for sure, it's going to move the market. I think last week we actually had, I think it was FOMC minutes, right? on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that moved the markets pretty heavily. So things like that will always be major. Oil has been pretty big. I know we've been looking at oil quite a bit as a group, at least, and really watching that prior dump to like 100 something, and pretty positive that was going to come straight back. And today, yeah, it hit what it hit this morning. Right back to it, $120 a barrel on crude futures, which is like a tag almost to a T. On what was that prior high on that guy? Oh no, we got a little ways to go. Well, just the recent one. We'll chart it out for you. 130. It's a pretty major level for crude. Um, so that said, I think as we talk about inflation and moving forward, there's a bunch of headlines, and this week we really start the Fed has been talking about fixing the balance sheet, right? If you guys don't understand inflation, or if you're new to this stuff, inflation doesn't happen because somebody prints money, right? Like that's just like a major misconception. That has very little to do with actual inflation. So if you think about if you were a business owner and you priced your goods or services, right? Like it doesn't matter how much your country prints in terms of money, as long as your prices are going to stay the same, as long as people are buying your goods or services. If they're buying a lot of your goods and services, you're likely going to raise your prices, and that's just how it is. It won't be until your sales slow that you will actually decide to lower your prices as a business owner. And that's what we're talking about in terms of inflation, lowering the cost of goods and services. It's not going to happen until the consumer slows. So that's really what the market's looking for. Um, this whole peak inflation, at least that's what you're going to start hearing if you haven't already. In terms of peak inflation numbers, that's going to be like PCE is consumer personal consumption expenditures. Sorry, I blanked there for a second. But that's inflation. And so we will get that main inflation number this Friday, which is the Fed's biggest metric that they're watching for. And we'll go through that a little bit. So in terms of headlines, I think there was, so definitely a labor shortage, a lot of stuff on slowing economy. We did get a lower GDP expectation last week. I don't know why that was a surprise to anybody, but it was. So there's that. And we got something called the Beige Book last week. And if you guys aren't familiar with what the Beige Book is, so that was here. The Beige Book is it's a report that comes out it's like every 2 weeks or 8 times a year. 8 times a year it comes out, and it's basically meeting notes of all the Fed governors. I think they're governors, Fed presidents, Fed governors. God, I'm looking at my notes. Anyways, and just what they're talking about. So what's important about that Beige Book one was actually, so there's 12 governors, and 8 of them were talking about expecting lower growth, which, right, okay, hello, GDP revision down. But 3 of them started talking about recession concerns, and I think that's going to be, that is what the biggest kind of headline stuff will be. I haven't heard anybody talk about stagflation recently. It was something when all of this kind of started. That's actually like worst case scenario, but we might hear people talk about that in the days to come. In terms of oil, did I put it here? I did not. There's a note. So Chevron had earnings, and I did want to. So oil is going to be a big thing, right? And we know, well, Biden, decided to release the strategic reserves, but doesn't offset the amount of oil that the U.S. uses per day. So it's just kind of like a Band-Aid. And we knew oil was going to go up because of that, right? It's not something that can be sustainable. And Russia, right? So Russia was like the biggest oil exporter, one of the largest oil exporters in the world. And the EU issued new sanctions against their oil imports. So that's a pretty big thing in terms of oil. gas and natural gas. So nat gas actually might be one. We could take a look at nat gas this week. And oh, here it is. So one of the comments from the Chevron call, I don't know if anybody caught this, but he was talking about capacity. So like, we know that there can't be more oil supply, but he was just very like straight up. Look, the capacity is what it is. We're not going to be able to open. Like the U.S. may never build new refineries, even with the current gas prices. And that's like the contract stuff. And we've known that, but like he straight up said it. So that was pretty wild. And then there was this morning I saw something about On Semiconductor actually getting into the S&P 500. I don't know if anybody caught that. But they were up a pretty good deal this morning. So I'm glancing off to my charts here just to get us set up. All right, so that said, in terms of economic data, so we did get, I think this was the last PCE. Yeah, so this was personal consumption expenditures. So costs essentially up 6.3%. Last week we got quits, and I look at something, we got jolts, and I look at something called quits, which is like, we know that there's more than enough jobs out there. That's not the issue. The job availability is massive, right? And people are able to like tell the employers, hey, I want to make this, or you can't hire me. Like, when does that happen? And the thing is, this quits data, yeah, it's a little bit lower, but I mean, look at that. If you're going to talk about churn rate, yes, there's openings, but the unemployment rate and the quits data is, to me, like more important. And non-farm payrolls is just like that monthly number that came in actually slightly lower. And then we're looking at participation rate, and look at this: average hourly earnings versus the like consumer price expenditure, like consumption. Like this is like negative. Yeah, you might get paid more, but you're net negative for sure. So moving on to earnings, we've actually been getting these like down revisions. So definitely one thing the market is not talking about is how would you say it? What do you think peak earnings? Probably not, right? So if you look at this, so we track every quarter. Earnings season is like our playoffs as option traders. So very, very in tune to what's going on in terms of how companies are doing and what their like expected moves are, blah, blah, blah. But when you look at the data, I mean, look at this. Like a year ago, 29 of the Dow 30, right? This is DI diamonds. 29 beats, one miss. 27 beats, 2 miss, 1 meet, right? 26 beat, 4 miss. And this is not getting better. So this would be like your peak earnings, which earnings are the lifeblood of the market. So that's one that's definitely on my radar. Huh. We're basically at the end of this earnings season. I think we technically have. I think technically it's IBM and Nike left. Their last reports had beat, but they're super late, and they're like not till next month. So I don't know where to put them. But anyways, so this week at a glance, really, Monday bill auctions, balance of trade on Tuesday. Really nothing until we get to Friday and we get our core CPI. And that is like raw inflation rate, right? Not just expenditures, but that's like the inflation rate. As we go through, I think, I don't know if anybody, I watch bonds and things like that. Dude, they are falling heavily. And this is very much due to this balance sheet reduction, right? So when they say balance sheet reduction, the Fed, you remember they were buying. Do I have that right? We're selling. Goodness. They're basically rates down, bonds up. Yeah, so they were buying a ton of bonds during the pandemic that's how they inject money into the economy. But now they need to basically pull all that money out, and the amount of money we're talking about, Dude, I think at the first go, it's like $9 billion or something like out of this world, and in total, it's in the trillions, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm not I'm not an economist, but yeah, that's gonna tighten the money supply for sure. So as we move forward, there are bond auctions that I'm gonna be paying attention to. 10-year and 30-year bond auctions typically actually move the markets. So, and again, that's just that like money supply flowing. So that's where we are. These are short-term bonds that actually went out today, this morning. I forgot what time it was, but look, the interest rates are going up, and so when interest rates, there are the bonds and there are the yields. So when you're trading these things, the bonds themselves are tradable, and they trade just like stocks. So the bonds have an inverse relationship to the yield, which is the interest rate. And so if the interest rates are going to go up, where are bonds going to go? I mean, it's almost like a gimme trade, but they're already so far down. That's the one thing we kind of got to watch out for. Earnings, we got 35 on deck for today. It's very light. That's just general earnings. It's like a nothing burger for us. I probably won't even note anything. Let me see. Do we have anything tradable? What's the date today?
The sixth.
It's the 6th. Somebody help. Yeah, so today we have ASO, Coupa, Dave & Buster's. Tomorrow, Campbell's. Wednesday, Billy. Five Below. Sig. Thursday, DocuSign. That's something maybe tradable, but we'll go through that. And another thing to note is consumer credit. So I was looking at some of these articles. I wonder if I still have it up. It was a pretty cool. Of course I don't. Oh well. But there are certain things that affect inflation, and consumer credit is absolutely one of them. So we do want to watch that. So like if the availability of consumer credit goes up, then that will increase internal. I say internal meaning like U.S. inflation. Just that's so related to consumer spending. But if we really think that we're going to be at peak inflation, we really want to see things like housing sales slow down, car sales slow down. Those are the two biggest ones. And yeah, your buddies need to stop buying all the shenanigans off whatever it is, Wayfair and whoever, Amazon. Like that's the stuff that's going to be actually controlling our market or per the inflation. 3-year auction on tomorrow, and then balance of trade has hit headlines for whatever reason this week. To me, it's not. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a big thing. We've never been a net. I mean, uh, we've never been a net exporter that I can remember. I'm not super old, but it's not since like this. I want to say like 70s or 80s that the U.S. was a net exporter. And so that's when you'll see we're like just obviously net exporter. But if we're not making goods and services internally, that means our costs, i.e., inflation, which also is a headline, right? Like grocery prices, things like that, anything that we import. The other countries have their own inflation situations too. And if we import that, then we have import taxes, and then we have our own inflation on top of that. Like it's just it's pretty. It's an uphill battle. Let's just say that. Wednesday we have a 10-year note auction, so that's really the biggest things. Wholesale inventory is probably not going to be a huge thing. Oil petroleum status report, I'll keep on the radar. Just watching crude. I want to see the low of the day get put in this morning on oil, and that would tell me that for sure we're going to go higher, but not so far. Thursday, jobless claims, again, really hasn't been moving markets. We know that jobs are out there. It's just a matter of whether or not people are actually taking them. And then 30-year bond auction, that is what's on my radar. So what is that? Wednesday, 10-year, Thursday, 30-year, and then boom, Friday, the biggest day of the week. We actually get core inflation rate. So if you're new, again, all these time zones, I'm sorry, I'm on the West Coast, so these time frames, these times here are West Coast, so adjust for your time zone. And then when you're looking at stuff on the side, so I have the previous number listed and what's called the consensus number. So the previous number is good to note. It's actually not that big of a deal. What matters is the consensus number. So just like if you're trying to anticipate an earnings move on a company, like the previous number doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if the company beats like the previous by 1,000%. I mean, that's good, but if the consensus was that they're going to beat it by 2,000%, well, the stock's going to dump, and that's just how it is. So what matters is the consensus numbers, and the consensus numbers is what the markets are currently pricing in today. So what you should read, what I read out of this is that, look, okay, core inflation rate year over year. Core, if you don't know, this is my other rant, is that there's a core inflation rate and there's a regular inflation rate, and the difference, core inflation does not include things like food and energy, which, damn it, if that's not my personal biggest expenses, oil, gas. I don't know. My gas is, I'm like ready to sell my car and buy a Prius, man, because like I cry now every time I go to the gas station, like $7 a gallon. But anyways, yeah, that's the great joy of living in Silicon Valley. Anyways, core inflation rate does not include those items, and the Fed says, well, it's because they're too volatile. Well, yeah, they're volatile. Anyways, sorry for that. So the month over month number. So there's the year over year number and the month over month number. That's the one that's going to be most important. So either one of these, core or standard, probably the standard to me. I mean, yeah, like, okay, so I'm reading this and they're like, okay, yeah, oil, gas and energy, food and energy, clearly going up. So that's built in here. Everything else, this is like the big stuff like cars, homes, looks like they're expecting it to come slightly down. So, I mean, these numbers are super important. Friday, maybe we run, who knows, into Friday, but because there's not a whole lot in the way, but this day could flip the whole market on its head, one way or the other. I mean, if we beat, as in like inflation comes in lower, oh, that's the market is going to be like boomtown. We're going to be flying. But if we come in higher than expected or the consensus, that's definitively not peak inflation, and we're going to have a dump show. So it could go either way. I'm not an economist. I don't know. Just be aware. Hey, look, Friday we have some serious numbers coming out before the open. That's the stuff that you'd want to probably, be aware of. And then, so with that said, we had a huge, and I'll actually, and we do have, if we're in your servers and we do the trainings and stuff, this Thursday after market close, 30 minutes after market close, I'll send the links. But we're going over like chaos theory and stuff like that. We're just building you that trading foundation from a price action perspective this time, not an options perspective. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump into the charts. So, I use a 30-minute candlestick chart to check out my week before, and I use these little orange boxes on my charts called, and I'll just clean this up, which signify an average week's range. So stocks don't move typically more than their average. I have little bars that are automated up here. Purple is monthly, high and low. Orange is last week's high and low. And last week we moved less than an average week. And the white is daily, high, low. I don't need this. Yesterday's high, low. So, you know what? Let me just take this off for just a minute here. And so I'll usually just take a look at this, right? So, and if we open here and I want to look at what the heck happened last week. Let me get this out of the way. So this is last week's, right? And so we had this bounce. What is this? Tuesday, the 2nd? What day was the 2nd? That was Thursday. What day did we get um, some economic data. I want to match this up basically with what happened last week from an economic perspective because fundamental um, events will totally create technical levels. We got ADP, non-farm productivity, a couple of Fed speeches, non-farm payrolls Thursday. I don't know. When did we get FOMC minutes? I swear we did.
Oh gosh, I think the minutes came out Friday, didn't they? Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, I thought so. Well, the beige book came out on the 1st. Sorry. If you guys know, ping me in the chat. Anyways, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at this. What is that level? So, last week's low, geez, we got a pretty hard little bottom here. What level is that? That is about 406. So, 4,060 on SPX. And I'm just going to match that up, right? So, if that ends up being this week's low, yeah, we got a little bounce here. This would be good. Probably. What is this level? Oh, so I like this. So what I like here is I like this little bottom where I see people, this is Friday, like seriously stepping in and defending this level, which was also the breakout level from Thursday, and the dip buy down here on Wednesday, just above this. So this to me is actually fairly like bullish above this. We're going to call this like a supply zone or demand zone. How's that? So if you get an opportunity kind of like down in this area, I'm seeing around 4,100. Did you have a level, Steven? Yeah, 1, 2,
Yeah, I'm
3,
looking,
4.
obviously, so the correlation on SPY would be 410.
Yeah.
Still, 410 seems to be a huge key pivot level.
Yeah.
Below that, I'm looking at 407. 414 was a key level to the upside to stay above that to maintain some more bullish sentiment, just because that was the top of the range for Friday that we were opened at, bounced out or rejected a couple times Friday morning, and then we never got back up to that level. So I was watching 414 this morning. And then previous week highs at 416.50-ish. We do have a little wick up above that.
Yeah, this little, what is that?
Close out Thursday, and then we immediately rejected that after the close on Thursday, and we weren't able to get anywhere near that again all day Friday. So 416.50 was a big level. We rejected off of that this morning. And then 414 I was watching. So now next key level or target,
you're like right in
looking
there.
at 410. Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're going to get down to 410. Below that, I would be targeting 407 for real quick, and below 407, watching 398.
Yeah. What I would say from a momentum perspective too, so thanks, dude. Those are like solid levels. 498. So this would make your kind of like value area. So 407, call it 410, 407 would be like, these are levels I'd be looking for a bounce in, is what we're saying. And from an average week's range perspective, what I would say is like, all of last week we traded inside an average week's range. So to me, this looks like we're wound and ready for a nice move in either direction. I don't know which yet, but it could go another couple days or so. But we're priming for sure, and we're building some. What do you call this? I mean, the springs are getting coiled. Let's just say that. That's definite. But yeah, you don't really have a clean trigger in either direction. 407 to the downside. For sure.
Yeah, 407 and 416.50 would be I think the two most important levels to watch on that range, just because all last week it was just coiling, bouncing up and down between those two. So yeah, I mean, break and sustained hold above or below those levels. I think we're going to be setting up for a really nice move.
Yeah, I like this. So I'm gonna mark this 410. 410. Above 410, I'm comfortable being not bearish, if that makes sense. Unless it's like I'd be looking for a bounce, but if it flushes below that 407, straight back into the bear camp, no question.
Yep.
And then I can't. So in between 416 and here, you got to be pretty neutral. So futures are a good play. Do we have Steven? Jesse's not on. If you trade futures for small moves, stuff like that, that's ideal. With this range, so what I'd say is like if we do, let's say we make 410 our low of the day, of the week, let's call it, which would be just slightly a higher low. An average week's range would take you up to about 423. So that's where I would say you could target an upside move, which this looks like would be right in this like kind of fixed range profile, if I can mark this right. So right in that little section. Goodness. From there to there. Yeah, somewhere in that. What does that put you? 420. Nice number. And then yeah, you have, look at this. This is what we're battling right here. Yeah, I wouldn't have noticed that had I not just scrolled back just now. Well, maybe. Who knows? But we're definitely battling this kind of upside resistance here. Look at all that. Yeah, so we got to get through this. This is major overhead supply. Damn. But if we can break through that, that's when it's going to be like big time mover, and it would be quickly. Like, look at this. What day was this? I forgot. I think this was like the FOMC minutes day. So this how important this current 416.50-ish level is. Look at that, right? Oh yeah. So this is the rate decision day right here. I have it marked, and this level just exploded right off of it. So we want to see all of this get kind of filled in, but we can get real squeezy clearly in either direction. Like this, boom, boom. So it could be a quick day trade to the upside to like 420-ish. If you do like carry with any strength or volume over that 416. Downside, I see some buyers still. So I wouldn't be ready to go short till below 407. So that's a SPY. How did you get the monthly, weekly levels indicator? Oh, that's we trade something. I use something called the Strat. You can do this is like you could just Google or not Google in whatever charting software. There's a bunch of tools that will just auto chart your daily, weekly, monthly pivots. Okay, so for the Qs, so it's going to be something similar. So purple, prior month high low. This is an average weeks range right here. I have some levels lined out. I want to see if I can pick out. Oh, yep, there it is. So this is that same rate decision day right there with this. Oh, God, look at this consolidation. This is going to, oh, this is that bar. What was it I was talking about? I was on something and someone said, oh, this stock is barcoding. I'm like, what the hell is barcoding? Yeah, that's barcoding right there. That's a straight barcode. But yeah, so like that is some serious selling pressure that just got completely exhausted and popped straight to the upside. So this level is like right at 320. There's going to be a major zone. And man, you could stretch this bad boy back way out here. So major level to break, that's like Boomtown. If we can break and hold, like look at that. It's that either super scalpy, it's gonna feel like, oh, everything is great in the world, but just be careful and take profits quickly because there's a lot of overhead supply. Clearly, right here at what is that? 330. Yeah, 330. And very similar here. So I just that 30. What is? I have 305, and then yeah, your same level, right at 311 on the upside where we just, I mean, we got over it once when we were able to build that momentum, right? So this is how stocks work, right? So if you have like you think of like a wall, right? So if this level here is like a wall that the stock's trying to get through, it's like pound, pound, pound on the wall, and it takes a couple shots before it can get through it. It's like if you're battering ram, on the castle doors back in the whatever medieval days. Like it takes a few shots, and every time you want to take a shot, you got to wind up and go, right? And so that's what I'm looking at right now is like this wind up. But again, if this is an average week's range, look at how tight that was last week. Like that is tight. So we could continue a consolidation because we have CPI coming Friday. So I'd be very cautious of that, taking any real directional bets, is what I see. But the second that you have your all clear signs, right? Like above this 3, what do you have on the Qs, Steven? Or I know you're like SPY.
Let me pull it up.
I got about 312. For a slow grind to 320, and then like a squeezy pop above 320 up to 329 would be max. And would that be, then I'm going to take this, like if this is an average week's range, so we opened about here, and that whole scenario could play out to the upside in a couple days. But that's when I'm taking profits, because anything higher than that, it's not likely. But these two levels would give me that kind of situation. On the downside, yeah, this does not have as much to defend it as SPY does, if that makes sense. And this is the index that's gonna be a lot more sensitive to rates and inflation. So again, just be cautious. If we do get new lows below, I mean 300 is just gonna be a like major mental level, psychological level. So be aware. I think diamonds, on the other hand, probably was looking the strongest of the group. Again, so average week's range. This is your industrials and things like that. And by the way, if you guys haven't noticed, like I do have some lines on my charts. These are kind of like broadening ranges. So we do, I mean, have that kind of situation when we are putting in both higher highs and lower lows at the same time. We can have like these like very quick boom boom kind of situations. So just be aware, like we are ranging here, springs are coiling, no triggers yet. We're giving you triggers now. So trigger long diamonds, 330, above 330, you got that same kind of, look at this explosion level right around that same point, right?
Yeah, I had 333.
Holy, look at how close.
Just like the little top of that little consolidation area for the last couple days.
Yeah. So while you're doing this, you want to think, what are my biggest things in the diamonds, right? In Dow, right? So like CRM is actually, I think, in there pretty good. But this is like your Boeings, your industrials, and that's when you see this index breaking out or that index breaking out. That's where you want your mind to go to. So just a quick time check. I think we're right. Couple things. So VIX. This is the VIX. This is a gauge for an option trader, right? And for just general directional momentum, we're at some pretty key levels. So the VIX 2450 right here is this like pivot low, I'd say, just around here. So this is where the VIX will tend right now to explode on our faces, right? And we're sitting on this 2470, right? I'd say I was thinking 2450. So 2450. If the VIX itself is trading below 2450, this has got to be like right up there with SPY on your kind of like charts that you have off to the corner that you always are monitoring. Below 2450, I think we go to the upside, like period. And above it though, we still have to be really cautious. If we break above 27, I mean, you'll know it when it happens. But if we break above 27, yeah, it's dump city. But this will tell you, this is the VIX index itself, VIX. This is not, I mean, these are not dollars. These are a number factor. Anyways, 2450, if it's trading below that for like an hour or so, I would expect a nice rally. And I'd be long like debit spreads, things like that. Until then, I'm still looking more like, put credit spreads personally are probably going to give you the best edge. One other thing I did, there was, I think it was gold. Yeah. So crude we looked at. So in terms of momentum, and I mentioned this earlier today. So like if you're trying to read momentum, we want to see the lows put in at the beginning of the day, right? And the highs put in at the end of the day. That's a general sign where you can have a rough guess that something is going to continue in that direction. So conversely, if the highs are put in at the beginning of the day and the lows are put in at the end of the day, like I think it was like Tuesday or something on SPY last Tuesday. Yeah, like if you open right here, was that lows at the end of the day? Yeah, lows at the beginning of the day. This is chop. It's a bad example, man.
Oh yeah.
This is what we see. Like you open, it goes up green out of the gate, right? Or like look at this low at the beginning, closing out the high. We're likely to continue, right? Obviously, it's not 100%, so you got to be careful. But generally speaking, right, if you put your lows in at the beginning of the day and your highs, you're closing towards the highs, you can expect some kind of continuation. We don't really want to trade like epic continuation until we're out of this range, and that's kind of why we're highlighting all of this right now. So for now, I mean, you could think of two things. I don't know which direction this is going to go. We're coming in with the VIX pulling in. I don't think the VIX is going to pop, personally, because I don't know that we're going to like flush. I really don't think we're going to flush. So, you know, it's either going to be those like iron condor type trades, which I do have a lot of those on since I don't know the direction quite yet. Or if you're, you know, a net long option trader, gold, I do, yeah, gold is right next up. That's the next chart. If you're a net long trader, like we're at a point where I'm going to start thinking about putting some net long straddles or strangles on, right? Where I'm buying both the call and the put on something because we've already gone through a full week of consolidation. I think we're getting ready for a move. I mean, a week. We can go 2 weeks, just to be fair. We can go 2 weeks in a consolidation, and that wouldn't be out of the ordinary. So I'm still just kind of waiting to see that break, personally. Yeah, so this is the gold chart, man. Gold trade's a little funny because it's a lot of after hours trading. So I'll just put this on a daily, and you guys will see how gappy this is. But even though it looks gappy, there's still actually a pretty big consolidation here as well. So this is like your typical, I want to call it like flag breakout. And if you really pull this back, like this supply, this level comes back all the way down to 2011. And I've been watching this chart for since Steven's known me, probably.
Every week.
Oh man, because I'm like, dude, are we gonna get it? And you know, like we get this, and you know, I do want to point this out. So you'll see this pattern on a lot of stocks right now, and so we trade. This is very tradable, right? It goes up and it comes down. Oh, dude, and so I call this. What do we call this? Somebody tell me. Where's my drawing tools? Quickly, right? So I have this thing, like we call this like the Triceratops pattern, right? It's too funny. But anyways, yeah, I'm not the greatest artist, but there's my Triceratops. And you get this little horn, right? Front horn. And sorry, dude. And yeah, we can expect it to come back down and then pop back up, right? And so right now, yeah, sorry guys for my poor art skills there. But we're getting that. All of that is tradable, right? And we're getting that, you know, can we get this? And who was it? Yeah, option trading for sure. Gold, this is like barcode level. Like it's just going like up, down, up, down. It wants to do something. It hasn't broken out yet. So those are good things to watch, right? When we're talking about trading candles and things like that, we're typically looking for inside bars as option traders, actually, because that's going to give us an indication that volatility is low because it's been a very tight range and standard deviation comes in, and we're waiting for that like inflection point where something can pop out of that range with strength and we get this massive momentum, and that is where we will get those convex payouts, right, on options. Not anything else. There's no other derivative that can give you that type of convex payout. Futures are great for they're linear payouts though. We're not going to have the exponential gains, but they're really good gains too. Don't get me wrong. If Jesse was here, he'd be like drooling over that dude's P&L. Anyways, so yeah, I mean this is an average week's range on gold, and holy hell, this is well inside an average week's range for, I don't know how long is that, maybe 2 weeks. So oh wow, so this is 1 week. Yeah, we've been inside an average week's range for 2 weeks. So the monthly low here is like 168. 1850, I think it was 1850, was like in my head like where gold would be. And this did have a little bit of this Russia. I don't know if you guys, is this a Russian thing too, where like they were like stockpiling gold, and then their ruble dies off, and then they sell the gold. So like that's a thing here, and these kind of like metal markets or precious metal markets, just be aware, silver's totally known for that. Silver, by the way, will have your higher beta, not SLC, SLV. Higher beta means you're gonna get a bigger, probably percentage move, and there it is again, right? Like complete barcoding, total consolidation. Once you get a move though, this is something that a straddle candidate would be better for, in my opinion, just because we know 2 weeks of like total sideways action. These are cheap cons, no doubt. So that's just me. So from here we go into a subsector. So we know, okay, Qs would be the weakest. I want to find out, and if I want to look at stuff to trade this week, I want to look at the subsectors, meaning like inside industrials, inside SPY, there are other little groups of stocks, right? And so we want to find where the strength is, right? And just essentially follow the money. So again, on a 30-minute chart, so I am looking at oil. Look at that. So we saw oil breaking out, like pushing up. Oh man, you see this, dude? This is XOP. So oil and gas. So mental note, like this is high, tight consolidation. We're clean above, trading for the last hour above this like critical. So my red line on this chart is the monthly high. Oh, are we breaking out live? You dog.
Ooh.
I think so. So where do you go with this, right? So you want to think who's first up on the XOP list. So XOM, right, is a huge component. Is that going to have the same chart, right? Similar, has not broken out yet, right? So if XOP, the index, breaks out before something like XOM, you can think, okay, this is a laggard, and it's likely going to continue. I got monthly and weekly levels right here on top of this. So next we go, what, CVX? It's not CVS, CVX, right? Is this here? Somebody tell me on stream. Oh, this one already pushed. Somebody tell me on stream who's moving right now on XOP. I hope it's Slav because I'm all in Slav. Yeah, so Slav is looking good today. We have a risk reversal on this right now. If you don't know, so I'll go to Market Watch sometimes, and my good friend Trooper just gave me this. He's like, yeah, I'll just go here, XOP, right? Type in your ETF, scroll down, and voila. What? EQT is the biggest? Holy. So EQT is super interesting. I added Tellurian. So EQT, if you don't know, is also a nat gas play. So it hits both buckets. And EQT this year has just been on an absolute tear. I mean, look at this chart, right? Like this is, if we're looking on a 1 year chart, you look at that and you're like, dude, who says the stocks are down this year? What are they smoking, right? It's just, you got to look in the right spot. That's just how it is. And this bad boy's like up. I'm up like well over, what is that year to date? I'm just, 125% in the last year. Yeah, year to date, 130% 6 months. I mean, so if EQT, we just found out, is the heaviest weight in XOP, and we also know that they're a big player in pipelines and nat gas, this is a very interesting play and starting to break out. So when I look at individual stocks, you always want to have multiple time frames. Never take a trade off of a single time frame. This is that chart that you want to look at. Oh, I hate you, IBM. Don't even get out of my face. I have a love-hate relationship with IBM. So monthly level here. I mean, that's parabolic right there. Weekly, right? Yeah, pressing higher. So far inside week. If the sector can break out, this guy will have a lot of strength to go with it. Little pullback here. Your breakout level is 50. $50 this thing flies. And it flies to 60 quickly. Wow. Wow. Look at that, dude. This thing was $4. I don't even want to look at it anymore. It's irritating. So that's XOP. So I would basically go into that sector, find out who's in there, right? So Valero, interesting. All right, so VLO, there it is. And this guy is the guy that's pulling the index. And see how we did that, right? How do we find that one stock? It's the indexes, subsectors, and then knowing who's in the subsector. This is the guy that's got the alpha. This is the guy that's moving that index, right? You're almost at the upper end of your daily range. But yeah, the pullback on this is going to be viable for sure. If you can get something around 135 and it holds, that's money, right? In terms of targets, holy hell, you are all-time highs. And again, like 85% year to date, 96% up in the last 6 months. I have a feeling that, you know, people that are late to this party here might be some of the younger crew because they're not used to looking at this, and we might see one of those kind of blow off top moments. So, you know, in the next quarter, right, or so, this might be like a freaking like absolute ripper of a sector across the board. But just be aware, like it could be one of those, you know, blow off top things. So it's, I think this quarter, I mean, we got fundamentals, technicals, whatever. OIH is right behind it, right? So OIH is the oil services sector, right? And if you go into that sector and you say who's big in OIH, right? It's gonna be, we know, right? Because like we're in all over Schlumberger, Halliburton. This is a small Patterson PTN. Is you'd be surprised if you look at that. But these are like, look, we're not going to have new like refineries, so I want to be like pipelines. And then the next one, sector, right? That looked strength is, I mean, here it is energy, right? So this will follow right behind, and my energy is like Devon. I feel like Devon is not. Were we talking about this? And it's not energy. Oh yeah, energy, minerals, yeah. Man, this thing too. Look at this stupid chart. What do you mean the stock market's down? I don't get it. I don't know what to say. Yeah, you're pretty big consolidation here, but if you break through these levels, yeah, I like it to press and hold over. Oh God, is this thing $80 already? I feel like we just bought this at 40.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. This thing is just going. But it's a nice little consolidation here. So, you know, two schools of thought, right? Be aware. It could, if it breaks down, look, these things have flown heavy. That's why I'm like careful. I would be concerned of like blow off tops, but I don't see it happening right this moment. What else? Somebody shoot me a sector. So GDX, this is that gold thing. So we're right in that kind of like, if you guys just saw this, this is like that support-ish level. I want to see a breakout, really. And my minor play is NEM that I've been kind of building. NEM is bigger. Does this tell me what sectors it's in? No. This is like materials and mining across the board. It's got a little bit of everything, and it's a good. I like it, but it's not the greatest option trader. So this is where we are. This is clearly an epic broadening range, right? So take note, right? You'll get these situations. This is like big trades to come for sure. Oh man, that's on a monthly chart too. Holy moly. But pulling back on the week, bounced right off that 200-day. I'd like to see it press higher, and I'll be a nibbler here on this guy for the meantime. You want to hit the regulars, the daily drivers? So semis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look semis. So, so Nvidia, AMD daily drivers, right? Huge moves last week. I'm just looking. So here's the semi sector. Man, it felt like it was moving a lot, but the sector here is like nothing burger. So I'm looking at the sector. If I see the sector breaking out and like a Valero, or in this case it would be like an AMD, right? Breaking out. Oh look, we're coming right into this. Ew. Sorry, my very weird sound effects this morning. I don't know where they're coming from. Yeah, so this red line is that prior month high, right? So the red line here, I have low of 83, high of 103. The sector not quite breaking out. AMD being the leader, bouncing right off this 104. That's a really good level to see hold. So I mean, dude, this looks like you could be long at the moment, as long as it holds, or at least not bullish. I think we got that pullback. So if on a 15, right, if you get a new bar that starts to pop up, or that is higher like that, I would trade this for sure. To at least like to, what is that? I feel like that's a low target. 106. Where are we at? 105. Probably to this 109. In this range, right? Like this is your tradable range, if that makes sense. So like range to here, anywhere in this kind of range, taking profits at around just before 109, and entries around 104. That's tradable, right? If you break below, yeah, below, what is this, 103? Yeah, 109 is your stop if you're going long here. Otherwise, you have to wait till 99, and we know that I think it was 98. It's a very weird level, like 98 or something like that on AMD is like the major pivot. Right around here. Yeah, 98.60. Look at this. It's right there. Boom, boom. Right. Like I don't know why it likes that number, like, or that
Yeah,
level.
that's such a weird number for
But
that.
it is like right there. So many times. Look at that. I mean, can it get any clearer? So as long as it's above this, right? Like you're still trending up. Like period. There's no other way to slice it. I know, like now I got all these dots all over my whatever. Yeah, and so we're well above that with that 99 level being cleared. I like this to continue. At least, this week's target would be like that 109, right? So I'd rather take a shot somewhere closer to 104. But again, if it breaks that 109, yeah, you can get to 116. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to tell you, oh, yeah, oh my God, look how far back this level goes. Oh, Jiminy Christ.
All the way back.
All the way back. Could you take this shenanigans and be like, oh, yeah, it can go back to 124? Yeah, for sure, man. But, we don't want to trade like that just yet, right? Like, it's just candle to candle, day to day, week to week. That's how you get, that's how you crush your account, is, shooting for the 120s now out of the gate. Be like that, just, you get stalled out and you're just going to get crushed, especially when IV's high. Here, let's do another one. NVIDIA, I think it's similar, right? NVIDIA was lagging AMD. So if AMD's breaking out and you miss it, I took a couple of shots at NVIDIA last week, which were actually ended up being kind of weird trades for me. But look at this. Ooh, double inside day on NVIDIA. So that's very low volatility on that specific stock. Holy, look at that. That's a barcode. Ta-da. Huh. But double inside day, yeah, you're primed for sure, right on that consolidation level for some move. We don't know which direction, right? 181, below 181, I'd be taking, oh man. Unfortunately, you got like that 204 level right in the way after 196. So 196 to 204, the $10 range is tradable with options for sure. And I'd probably be looking at taking that above this morning's levels, but not before. That's like 193. Yeah, it's a toughie. Maybe 190. But for now, it's putting in a lower high and lower lows. So it's still chopped. They're not breaking any key levels, so it's not a directional trade for me just yet. And then so Amazon, man. So this guy. So we had a channel, like down channel. I don't think I even mentioned this, but yeah, it's a thing. So that's out. We had the catalyst, the split. The catalyst is over. We're sitting at this critical level. So 126. So it was a 20-to-1 split, right? So 126 times 20 is 25.20, right? If we can get above that, you guys remember how important that level was? I'm sure you do. You can get above that. 133. 150 is 3,000, right? Which would be like just about where your 200-day is. A little early, but you had Amazon on this however many year consolidation that it had broken below. You could get that little. It's not really a gap, is it? I mean, it's a gap on a daily chart. 140. That was where I had my eyes at. Yeah, it's definitely does not look like a gap on a extended hours chart. Oh, geez. So that's a gap for sure. I wish if you guys have TrendSpider, one of my buddies said that apparently TrendSpider has this tool called a gap sniper or something like that, a gap sniffer, and it'll search the chart for you and tell you where all the gaps are. Yeah, that does not look like a gap to me. No. But the 120 did, 120 something. Where was that? Oh, which we filled. So never mind. Yeah, a little bit down here, 106. It could go either way from here. We don't know. Is this sell the rumor? Is sell the, buy the rumor, sell the news? I don't know. That's where my mind goes, but I'll let the price action tell me. Above 126, we can, as long as we hold above 126, this right here should reasonably expect to get to like 140-ish level. For sure. But I want to see that hold. I want to see that close over it today, or at least trade over it for like an hour. And that's a pretty major level. So this was that prior month pivot here. So holds over that level, 126. Yeah, and that's why I have a trade on here, right? And that's why I was like, okay, to 140 is within reason to me. We hit that first gap. So I think the back half of the day and early tomorrow is going to be, I think we'll have direction soon. Tesla, second daily driver, or one of, these are probably one of my biggest daily drivers. So you got levels here. I mean, I can see my 673. I mean, it would have been a bear on Tesla in general.
Yeah, I'm right above you on that at 680. Obviously 700 is a key psych level.
Yeah,
what is this? 792, 793 to the upside?
Yeah, well, so I had 790. Yeah, so 790 was like on this one move. That's your 50% retrace to slam down. We already hit that, right? So that's kind of done. And it doesn't matter if you're trading that or not. It would have lined up to this level as well, which you could visibly see, and the initial breakout level from October 21, right? And that's why we had that, right? Like we could line up like 20 different things straight onto that level. So for here, you know, if we want to get our hopium pipes out and start smoking on them, you know, for sure you can be like, oh, this looks like one of these little hoo-has, right? I don't know. But we want to check, right? So what is my trigger? So like as long as you're over 7, I see this kind of like where, so I want to find the big, like, what do you call this? You know, where the buyers really step in. It's not until 675, right? So that's where you kind of gotta be, and then your last line of defense. I mean, so right now, 700 is like the last line, the last stand before it gets to 675, right? You break 700, you go straight to 675. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Goes directly to jail, right? But on the upside, you know, if we do get over that 736, yeah, 780 in quick, you know, fashion is very like Tesla. And remember, this guy is such an amazing trader. There's so many things every day, but it won't be until we break out and hold over, looks like 8, until you can really start targeting this 200-day. But for now, like we're looking for this to set a lower or a higher low if you're gonna be, what's the word? Bullish. But you have to be aware that you definitely put in a lower high, right? So what do we want to take a look at? I'm just going to draw this out, just connecting these prior lows. Whatever. Oh my goodness. My mouse is killing me today. Low to low, right? And then barcode day, high to high. Now we have a broadening range on a short time frame, right? Do we have this? Yeah. This is wild. Yeah, we're in this kind of channel. Right in the middle of it. Yeah. I think, you know, short trades, if this you're closest to this right here, I'm looking like in terms of the trend, it's trending down, right? On the hour, the day, the week, the month, right? The year. It's just red. So the momentum right now is to the downside. Take it for what it is. So I would prefer to trade to the downside on that break below 7, straight into that. Oh, wow. Where did my green line go? Because all of a sudden I had what? Yeah, we have a monthly level at 620. Okay, yeah, from 7 down to 675, 680, and then potentially 6. And if you break below 6, we have levels to the downside that are
550.
yeah, man. I mean, there's a dumpy. So 675 is that your epic last stand, right? But and then dumpy to you know, below 622. There's no question this is going straight into that 550 level, right? 550 be like right in here. These little tag right in this level. This is your actual where the real buyers are, but not. I mean, that's where it is. Ooh, unfortunately. All right, so I think that's good. I mean, if you guys aren't grabbing, like asking for more, that's cool. I can just, you know, I'll just do a quick. Do you have one that you want to jump on, Estefan?
Nothing is really grabbing my eye right now.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
I think today is going to be very telling of where we're going to go until Friday. Yeah. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands at this point.
Oh, dude. So look, this is nat gas, right? So UNG is natural gas. This thing is just like, what's Solomon doing today? Huh? So that's lagging. Interesting. Yeah, you got China breaking out. Energy, like renewables. Someone had mentioned NEO. in a DM. Neo, I think it's a little like cheap for me. June 9th. It's $20. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't see anything here that I would want to trade on Neo. I just avoid the crap out of swinging this thing because it's just I could go through this, man. Yeah, it doesn't move that much on earnings. It's like 9% once, 13% once, and the rest is under sub 5. I wouldn't touch this with 10-foot pole. It's just a gamble.
Yeah, you know my position on that. I hate that stock so much.
Oh look, MP. This guy gets squeezy. CrowdStrike. Yeah, so maybe like InfoSec security. Getting, oh man, everything is just inside weak, inside. We really gotta be super cautious. Freeport, hello. Okay, so we had trade on Freeport.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's carrying. So my bad for not catching this earlier. We are, yeah, following through here. Hopefully you have long positions. Check this monthly chart out, right? Big old hammer right below that 200-day. We're pressing straight above it. We've held above that 41, right? So your targets are pretty, I mean, if you want to be super conservative, first target would be 43. But let's just zoom this in. Oh God, look at the weekly. I mean, this is another one where it's like if you pull this chart back and you look at the year to date, I'm sure. Oh, ooh. So it was last year. So this one is, wow. This one is really interesting. All right. Super, super interesting. Look at this. So you got this whole level of massive consolidation. Not that holds a ton of weight, but just know it's a thing. Bounce, 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 bounce. Press up off that 200-day. That weekly looks like it's getting ready to squeeze. Huh. And the monthly is happy. And today, as of right now, oh God, it's pressing. Yeah, this is tradable. So this is where we want to be looking, right? So we got this whole level. This is breakout mode. Yeah. Look how squeezy you can get. So we're right here. In this kind of level. But if we can clear this shenanigans, right? There's really, look at how fast this moved. This is what we call like your, I don't know, I don't want to use the wrong term, but this is where it can fill this whole low volume section. Like see this on my right, it's like this is the volume profile. Not a lot of people got to trade really in here except for over here. But all of the people that sold up here or shorted up here, right? Let's say they were still short. So they're like, great. Where are they going to cover? They're about to cover right now, right? So if you get, and that's how you have to think, right? We're on this pivot, 42.50. Oh, dude, this could be juicy. Sorry. So where's your first target? So we get a close above that. Oh yeah, this is, look at this, dude. All right. I'm so weird on stream. People be like, dude, what's wrong with you? I mean, off of this level, this just moves fast down both directions. Look at that, poof, poof. This is like an explosion level. 1, 2, fail straight through. Yeah. So your targets. I mean, honestly, really. Let's put something together right now. I'm gonna go 47.50 right here. And I'm just gonna pull up the chain FCX to see where the current volume is today. I know there was a lot of volume on it lately. Oh man, first thing it's jumping out. I got 2,700 lot. So single trader order for August 50 calls at $1.23 a piece. Bought 2,700 of them. That's the biggest upside strike. Puts are busier, but they're way out of the money.
Yeah, those 36.50s.
Yeah, I'd be like, what are they doing with those? I don't know. Maybe if they're long, that could either be a hedge position. Actually, it looks like they sold them already. It looks like somebody bought them for 18 and just turned around and like must have been a fat finger and sold them for 19. Is that? Yeah, that's what that looks like to me.
Oh yeah, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, otherwise, like 40, 42, 41s, maybe some kind of like, it's a spread like 40, 42 credit spread or put diag. Wow, that's a put diagonal. That's actually bear or bullish. Selling this September, or no? Are they buying? Looks like they're buying September 42s and selling June 40s. Sorry, I'm gonna trade this, so I wanna selling June 40s. September buying. So it's a net debit 340. I gotta check my grades. Oh god, Thinkorswim sucks today. I hate it when it's like constantly stalling out and freezing me. I just want to see, is this gonna be a, like, what's the delta on this like diagonal? Looks like, yeah, this is a bearish pay scale. It looks like they're trading for like a little pullback potentially, unless I got it wrong. Unless they're doing something else. But yeah, so I like this chart setup for sure for potential continuation. I mean, this looks like continuation, but if not, it could break. It could hit this 43, and I don't want to take it until we get clean above that level. Look at there, we're so gappy. All right, it was just a midday gap on a 30-minute chart. Like, what is that? Is that real? Or is that trading view? Oh, it's trading view. Ooh, that looks clean, dude. That looks clean right now. So I mean, yeah, you could day trade that. Let's see. Not a ton of volume. Upside target 43. I'd rather be a swing trader on this guy. Yeah, you got like 900 of these 4450s, mostly selling volume. Monthly, oh, there you go. Monthly, you got a debit spread. It's small debit spread. What the hell? Yeah, these are weird strikes that people are getting on. 44 and 4450, people are like all over that for a potential pullback. Yeah, it's like right in here. They're probably looking at this little stutter step right in here. That would be first target. Stutter step. I like it though. Yeah, I see June 42.50, 44 call debit spread for 60. It's going for like 68 bucks. That's a 50-50, so risking one to make one. This guy, how's Ivy on this? 40% super low. Do we have a catalyst earnings? Not till the 21st of July, so no earnings. Anyways, I'll take a look at this and keep searching the chain, see if I see anything I like. But yeah, I do like a continuation here. It's right there. It's in a spot where it's like easily a fake out, so I want to give it a little bit before I actually put real money to work. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got for right now. See you guys in the servers, and we're out. Careful for what? For Friday, right? That's our biggest day. Friday, CPI. And then watching the bond auctions. Cool. All right, guys.
Sounds good.
We are out of here.